Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to a brand new LinkedIn Live. I'm Ankit Vengurlekar. I'm the managing editor for LinkedIn News in India. And I also have my colleague Dipti with me. Hey, Dipti.
Hey everyone.
How's it going? Thank you so much for having me here today, Dipti.
Absolutely. And this is super fun, Ankit. I know it's great to co-host a live session on LinkedIn News together. And especially today because we have such an action-packed next 30 to 40 minutes that's started.
Absolutely. For everybody who's just tuning in, look at the QR codes on the screen. This is a really easy way to follow us. So you can, of course, if you're watching this on a phone, you will need another device to just scan the QR code and that will automatically take you to our profiles. Also, throughout the show, you will keep seeing these QR codes for the guests that we have. So it's much easier for you to follow them and to track the conversations they are having on LinkedIn. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about one of the most important aspects on LinkedIn. What are the most exciting emerging jobs in this new normal in 2021? This is an interactive session and we would love to hear from you in the comments section. COVID-19 has truly changed our world and it has forever changed the world of work. And while we adapt to this new reality, a lot of new skills and sectors are seeing incredibly positive growth, just as some sectors are also negatively impacted, and our heart goes out to both.
Absolutely, Ankit, you're right to say that. And that's why we are bringing today for our viewers a new report based on fresh LinkedIn data, which is called the Jobs on the Rise report. We're going to be talking about the 15 jobs on the rise right now. You can see the entire the list on the screen right now. So basically, these are the 15 areas under which we've seen job functions or roles which have seen the maximum increase in hiring rate in April to October period of 2020 over the previous year. And of course, we expect that these will be the areas or the job functions which will continue to create more opportunities for job seekers with the relevant skills and expertise even in this year. For those of you who want to read the entire article, know about the skills, the locations where these job postings are, please go to my profile, subscribe to the Get Hired India newsletter, and you can read the entire article there. Here's the QR code. Please do give it a scan and subscribe to the newsletter. Coming back to the live that we're going to have today, we have a fantastic lineup of 3 guests lined up for you. One from the edtech space, from healthcare sector, and one for freelance content creation. And these experts will talk to you about the upcoming opportunities in each of these 3 areas. Welcome, everyone.
Hi. Absolutely.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, so without further ado, I think Dipti, you should dive right in. Education sector has been very, very hot in 2020 with schools, colleges, everything going online. Ed tech companies saw record signups, record adoption, and record infusion of funds as well. So Dipti is going to speak with Arjun Mohan, the CEO of upGrad, after which I'll be speaking to Vanshika Mehta on the exciting world of freelance content creators. Over to you, Dipti.
Thanks, Ankit. Arjun, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Deepti. Hi, Ankit. Thank you so much for having me here.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Absolutely. Busy times. You know what's happening around the world.
Absolutely. Great to have you, Arjun. Like Ankit just mentioned, edtech has been one of the sectors that has seen tremendous growth in 2020. And it was really, 2020 was nothing like the ordinary. We saw schools and colleges just move online overnight. And a significant share of that, the education from elementary school to up till higher education continues to be online right now. So, just to start off, Arjun, what is the outlook for upGrad that you see for 2021? And can you just share some numbers with us, maybe in terms of what growth projections you have?
Sure. So 2020 was an exciting year. Lot of changes, lot of adjustment to be done. But I'm pretty happy that we all managed to adapt to the new normal and make things happen. Last 9 months, which is I'm talking about this financial year because that's when the impact of COVID really became pronounced. So last 9 months, we've been able to grow the business by more than 100%. We have currently more than 1 million registered learners who are learning on our platform, on the alumni, so on and so forth. So it's been an exciting year. I'm really looking at ending this year with 1,200 crore annual run rate, which we are looking at doubling in the next financial year. That's FY21. Uh, uh, so the doubling it out is what we are looking at. It is going to be pronounced. I mean, it's going to be exciting next year too. The way I am looking at is, COVID has taught us or showed us that a lot of things can be done online in a very effective manner. Online learning as such had a lot of facets. In COVID, everyone was forced to test it out, try it out because there was no other option. And from the feedback I have, most of the people have surprisingly found it as good or maybe better than offline learning. I get a lot of feedback from the people saying that, hey, I never knew that I could learn this technique so easily online. The conversation I have with my teachers, the presentation they do are much more easier to understand online thanks to the 3D graphics, so on and so forth. This is very evident in the outcome also, right? See, as a company, upGrad always tries to say that you're going to a campus because you are looking at a life transformational educational experience. Finally, you want a better job. So that outcome is what we also sign up to. We ensure that you get the outcome. So it's just not about learning a concept. It's also about making you ready for that big jump. So we have it. I'm very happy that especially by the end of the pandemic, when things started opening up, we have been able to prove the point that the transitions can also happen seamlessly with an online education, the certification or a degree program. So the average salary hike we could see in this financial year is in the range of 44 percentage. The highest salary which we placed a person recently is in the range of 70 to 75 lakhs. So, I mean, not only from the perspective of a consumer, from the perspective of a recruiter or a corporate also, this pandemic period has been a lot of changes. They finally, the only option they had in interviewing was going online and doing it. I mean, they don't have a option now but to come to LinkedIn and search for all the people who have applied on it, right? So the entire ecosystem of application, of interview process, the test taking process have gone online. And people have really found that there is so much more you can acquire and speak about, acquire and get access to when you're doing things online. So, personally, from my experience, right, I am from a small town. When I grew up, I went to a campus which was not really in one of the metro cities. And one of the biggest problem, even by virtue of being an IIM, one of the biggest problem we always faced was no corporate used to come there because it's a pain to go there. There was no flights. I will have to waste 2 days to do that.
Absolutely.
So today, with it going online, like everything changes. So it's been a great year, and I'm really hoping that this will continue in 2021 also, both from the perspective of learning online and from the perspective of finding jobs online. I'm
Sure.
clearly betting on the fact that this entire ecosystem is going on.
So, Arjun, like you mentioned, of course, a change has been set in motion. But do you think that this is something, as schools and colleges slowly reopen, do you think this growth momentum or this trend is going to sustain for good?
See, there is a concept in management which says that when you go through a change and when you see that the change is going to bring in a lot of efficiency, that change sticks. That's what I feel online education has gone through. I mean, the same thing we saw with, saw with online shopping, right? Although people came in there because of the discounts, once they found out the convenience of it and found out that things are getting done, they stuck with it. I feel the same thing will happen to online education. Yes, they mostly came in and took online education because there was no other choice. But during the process, they have realized that this is a great medium. So with the colleges and the schools opening all, for sure, some part of it is going to go back. No doubt about it. The way I am seeing it is it will be a hybrid option will come, which means that some of the things which are done well online will continue to happen online. Some of the things which may need offline may happen offline. So that's how I am looking at it. But for the working professional, where people really want to learn while they earn, I think learning and upskilling is going to continue in a big way online. Because
Sure.
fundamentally, it's a big risk, right? When you leave your job and go back there. So
Yeah.
that I think people have realized during the pandemic that I can effectively do that and I get the same outcome and it's gonna continue there.
So for working professionals, online learning is something that will continue in the strong way that we are seeing right now. For the
Yeah.
members who are joining this discussion, just to quickly reiterate, we are speaking with Arjun Mohan, CEO of upGrad, and we're talking about the opportunities in the edtech space. And we'll also be speaking to Vanshika Mehta and Divya Kannan of Cure.fit about opportunities in freelance content creation and the healthcare, mental health well-being space. So please, members, share your questions and comments on the live stream, and we'll try to take it through the interview. Arjun, just one question around, are there, what kind of, given the kind of growth that we're seeing in this space, what kind of jobs, job functions or roles would you say is the edtech space seeing opportunities open up for?
You're talking about edtech space or all the upskilling space?
No, the edtech sector, the job opportunities in the edtech sector, yeah.
Sure. So recently, what is happening in India is that there's a fair bit of productization which is happening in edtech. So it's no longer just about doing some videos online or some live lectures here and there. A lot of personalization, a lot of gamification has gone into this sector, because finally it's about getting the student excited about the entire journey and driving that understanding and outcome. So a lot of tech jobs, a lot of applications of ML has come in there. A lot of data gets generated, and hence data science jobs have also opened up in a big way on this thing. But largely, if you look at the quantum of jobs which is there in edtech, out of let's say 100 jobs, there will be 60% of the jobs which will go into sales and marketing. Because still, this is most of the edtech companies in India follows assisted sales model, because education for most of us, be working professional or students, is a high involved purchase, and hence it needs to be convinced, and you need a person talking. So majority of the jobs are still sales and marketing, but I can see that there is a huge increase in the number of product and technology jobs coming in, more of technology than product. So that's the direction in which it is moving.
Right. Just one last question, Arjun, before we let you go. What job functions or roles specifically are you seeing maximum demand of e-learning courses for right now?
Very clearly, the trend is moving towards 3 or 4 topics. Data science has become pretty much, it has become a necessity you need to have in any mid-management role today. You need to be very comfortable with data, and you need to know the tools to analyze large quantum of data. So a lot of data science job, a lot of analytics job, again, business analytics, HR analytics, finance analytics, you say it's all there. Lot of tech is moving in the ML and AI direction. So that's also seeing a boom. Lots and lots of jobs in that direction. In fact, technologies like RPA, which used to be very popular, is moving to the next phase in the form of ML technology. So a lot of AI ML jobs are coming up. Very new profiles. You need to learn it to get into that. Another very interesting pattern I'm seeing is, with all this online, all this working online and remote working, being an adept communicator has become very important. So a lot of jobs are asking for a communication skill. So as a skill, communication has become very important, and a lot of people are looking for short-term courses in improving their communication, both remote communication, face-to-face, so on and so forth. So these are where I'm seeing the trends going.
Sure. Great, Arjun. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us today. Wonderful to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the time. Bye.
Thank you. Over to you, Ankit.
That was really cool, Dipti. I mean, I really wish we had online courses like that, when I was studying and I was growing up, etc. But alas,
I know, right?
Those were different times.
I'm
but
sure
the
you
good
can
thing
take
is,
some courses even now. It's not too late.
Yeah. If I am done with LinkedIn work, maybe I will find the time to look at some courses. But I saw this comment from Pavitra Krishnamurthy, and it's such a good pointer. There has been a lot of discussion on how to measure the outcome for learning for comparison across platforms. Do you see a standard metric emerge in the industry in the near future? We love such involved comments and conversations, Pavitra. In fact, feel free to follow Arjun, CEO of upGrad. Feel free to follow other people. Have these conversations by yourself on LinkedIn and engage other people. Tag me, tag Dipti, and maybe it can become a bigger, broader conversation. All right, Absolutely. Those are actually the QR codes for following us. Okay, let's jump into the next category, which is the hottest one. And we've already seen so many comments of people asking, ki content creator banna hai, how do we do that? Okay, so one of the biggest sectors in demand in 2020 has been content, and we are seeing those tailwinds take it through in 2021 as well, with most companies creating some or the other kind of online content to communicate with their users. Content creators are in absolute hot demand, but due to the volatility in the market, companies are preferring to hire freelancers instead of big agencies on fat retainers. So I've got a very special guest here whose content I've been watching and consuming on LinkedIn India, and she does such a good job of it. Vanshika Mehta is joining us from Gurugram, Delhi NCR. Hey Vanshika, how are you doing?
Hello, good, lovely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for making the time. I know you are super busy and super active on LinkedIn India. So let's
Yes.
jump right in. Vanchika, if you could help us understand, 2020 was a year of a lot of struggle, but also a lot of personal victories and triumphs for you. You became a freelance content creator for the first time. If you could consolidate that experience and talk to us about what happened last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an amazing year. I got so much opportunity. I mean, even I didn't expect that I would get such a warm welcome and get the chance to work with some of the biggest brands in India and worldwide. Content creation as a whole, as an industry, is going to boom and is already booming. Honestly, I feel there is no price to creativity, and the only thing that separates one content writer from the other is the kind of skill, the knack that they have, the way they play with words. So a lot of these things are intangibles, and when you're in the industry, you really understand how these intangibles can play in and help you grow your career. And like you mentioned, I've always worked in corporate. I was in Boston. I moved here to India in 2018. Worked in corporate. 2020 Jan was actually when I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. This was actually supposed to be a 3-month experiment, but clearly we're in 21 already. So touch wood, I can't complain. It has been quite a journey with lots of opportunities, and not to make it sugar coated or anything. LinkedIn has really been the platform for me. I mean, 100% of my leads come on LinkedIn, and that is just because I put myself out there. So it starts with creating content for yourself, showing your skills, talking about things that are important in your industry, talking about the things that make you different. And I think LinkedIn is the perfect platform because people are looking for talent over here. So if you kind of build up your own brand and start putting out content and start reaching out to people, I think it is definitely a career that anybody can take up sitting anywhere in the world. I have imagined myself sitting in Bali, working on a project. Recently, I was in Jaipur, and I have this beautiful photo of me working with this beautiful scenery in the back. So literally, this is a job that is so flexible, and it is it's just never ending in terms of opportunities. So I think just leverage the platform and make yourself stand out, and figure out for you what is that key differentiator, and then just keep pushing the throttle on it.
That's so encouraging and heartening to hear. And so happy to
Thank
hear that you've had such good success on LinkedIn, Manshika. Okay, so
you.
I would love to hear from you. What kind of content have you found most success with? I understand there's an over indexing on video content across platforms, across social media apps, etc. But video is also not something that anybody and everybody is comfortable with. We almost
True.
tend to forget how powerful and how gratifying and how much of a demand writing as content creation has, from website content to social media content to blogs and so many other avenues. So we just had that slide up just before this. So if my colleague Pushkar can bring that slide up again, we are seeing organic demand for podcasters, creative writers, YouTubers, bloggers, and content coordinators, to coordinate all content functions. And obviously, skills include immaculate grammar. Fortunately, today there are online apps also that can help
Yeah.
you with that, and content development, etc. But what have you personally found to be more successful for you, Vanshika? And also a quick reminder to all the viewers, if you have any questions around content creation for Vanshika, please type them in as well. Over to you, Vanshika.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think I found a lot of success in websites. Especially during COVID, a lot of brands realized that their website wasn't up to the mark. So there was a lot of requests to upgrade a website, create a new website, consult on UI UX, the little bit that I know in terms of just design plus content. So I've got a lot of website stuff. And another staple is obviously the pitch decks for companies. I think no matter what company you're in or industry, you're going to need a pitch deck. So lots of demand for that. And definitely, yes, podcasting and videos have definitely taken a very, very steep upturn. So that's probably a very good thing. It takes a little bit of knack and skill and repetition to kind of nail those down. But if you were to kind of just start from scratch, I mean, website content, pitch decks, and then obviously blogs is forever necessary for anybody that's trying to get noticed on Google. So there's
That's
plenty of opportunity, and there's nothing that's really stopping you from picking one over the other. Right now I'm working on a website content, I'm working on a animation video, I'm working on a deck. So I've always got my hands full with a lot of different projects. And for me, that has really worked well because it allows me to kind of put my focus in different places and not kind of just kind of tunnel vision myself into just doing one deliverable, forever. And like I said, I mean, there's no end to creativity. There's no end to where your words can take you and the company that you're working for. So I think it's just a beautiful industry to be in. And now also, I mean, there's a lot of appreciation for good content because over time we've realized that just blog content doesn't cut it anymore. People need more than just blog content. Like, for example, yesterday I posted a video on my LinkedIn which was talking about how when social media started, we started with like, oh, I want 10 million followers, and that was like the goal. But now it's more about engaging, and community led initiatives have come into the company far and large, and that is because of the content that you're putting out. You can now form a community on any channel, and the only way you do it is content. So very,
absolutely.
very direct correlation between content and your business goals. So I think when now in the engagement stage, so social media engagement, any sort of thing where you can build a community through content is just going to be a win for you and your company.
I think three C's, right? Content, community, consistency. These are pretty much
Yes.
the three golden C's for the world of freelance content creators. You can quote me on that. I just came up with that. Okay. Dia Joseph has a fantastic question here, and also another question that a gentleman was asking before this. Number one, how much of a demand do you see for local language content? That's a burning question always for content creators. And number two, what Dia is asking, how do you decide on the rates, especially when the piece involves a lot of research from your hand? So actually, if you can break it down brass tacks and give us some sort of a semblance of, how much do you charge, or what is the market rate for, let's say, designing or developing a website, or, creating content for, let's say, a research project. Is there sort of, your rate card or a tariff in the market that people follow? Just so people get a sense of, okay, there is actual money to be made here, and it can be a sustainable career option.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the vernacular question first. So, yes, absolutely. Right now, India is booming in the regional language space. So, if you speak a language, you can write, read, do content well. I would immediately say go for it. I mean, English, a lot of people are doing. If you know a vernacular language, make use of it because there are so many brands that are trying to relate with their audiences. And a lot of times English is not the relatable language, although it is the most widely used. So if you are in that space and you are comfortable writing, please do reach out to companies. They are always looking for people to write content in languages that their audience will relate to. So that's a sure shot win. I mean, I've heard of a couple of people here and there doing vernacular content. There's a company that I came across a couple of weeks ago that is just doing vernacular content and entertainment based content for regional in regional languages. So absolutely 100% go for it. In terms of the second question, that's a question I get asked a lot. Um, so to be very honest, there is no rate. I can't tell you that today you should charge 5 rupees for your like per word. There is absolutely no rate, because again, like I said in the beginning, there is no cost to creativity, and there is no cost. I mean, you can't equate it out and say that I deserve X, and therefore you can actually ask for whatever you want. I have done websites when I started out. Just to give you a broad like kind of overview, I did an entire website when I initially started out in 2020 for about, I would say, 10 to 15,000, and that's what I thought was great. I was like, this is awesome. And then as time progressed, and I think it was around July or August of 2020, I did an entire website for 2 lakhs. So if I tell you that's the range, you can absolutely go from 15,000 to 2 lakhs. And there is a lot of potential. Even within blogs, I personally don't, or I have never followed the per word system. I think that really doesn't account for all the work you are putting in. Writing is not just sitting on a keyboard and typing your heart out. It's researching whatever you need to write. It's about thinking about how to tell that story. There's editing. There's so much that goes behind the scenes. So even though the deliverable looks like just a blog of 800 words, you might have spent 3 hours on it. So I would say by word is by far like the worst payment method ever. I would say just do a project rate, which kind of comes to a number based on the number of hours you're going to put in. If you're okay with that and your client is okay with that, you will probably feel better about doing that project, because if you do it by word, there is a chance that your client will be like, I don't want 800, I want 600, but there is so much to
Absolutely.
write. You'll always get into that conundrum. So I would say fix a range, so like 800 to 1000, and then fix a kind of cost. Say like, okay, if it's a article on say Bitcoin and what's happening in the industry as of today, maybe since it's the hottest thing happening, you can say that, okay, 1,000 word article is going to cost you 2,500 rupees, and that's it, because I'm going to spend XYZ time. And the way to kind of bring to scale the cost that you're asking for is by building trust. So that would mean that if you're really asking for that amount, you need to have a solid portfolio. You need to kind of talk extremely confidently. You need to prove your point again that you are the best for this role. There is no dearth of content writers around on LinkedIn and anywhere. So as long as you prove that you are the best for this thing and you're the best fit, honestly, there is no price. Like, I depends on the project. For me, every single quote that goes out is a custom quote. Like, I don't have
Totally.
a thing saying
A
that
standard
this is,
templatized
yeah,
approach.
it's just, it'll not work, because the reason that you quit corporate and jump into freelance is A, to experience freedom and live the life, and the second is to obviously make more money. So if you have a standard rate card, you're going to be stuck onto that, which is not what you want to do. You need to be increasing your rates by at least 10 to 15%, like every couple of months. So if you've built your portfolio up to 20 projects, okay, great, now you say, okay, let me try a higher bracket. And the more you kind of push that bracket, you will find people who accept that bracket. There is no shortage of money in India and anywhere. There's a lot of money. You just need to
These
ask
are
for it and be confident.
these are absolutely fantastic insights here, as our viewers are writing here. Thank you so much for sharing that, Vanshika. And really, content creation is seeing its moment under the sun. And the beautiful thing that 2020 also did is completely dissolved, not that they ever existed apart from in our own minds, they completely dissolved geographical boundaries for content writers and creators. So today it's easy for somebody sitting in Jaipur or Bhopal or Indore or Bengaluru or Belgaum to reach out to potential clients in any country in the world, because everybody is working remotely, right? So I want to take this question from Neeraj Shukla, which a lot of people are asking. It's actually a question that somebody else asked earlier as well. How do you market yourself as a freelance content consultant? And Neeraj is asking how to get the opportunities for freelance content creation, where to search for them.
Yeah, so I actually just recently, I think a day or two ago, updated my website. It's got my portfolio, a little bit about me, a little bit of a background. I think it's important to have a central place that you can kind of refer to. In terms of marketing, I would say a lot of my leads, A, like I said, come on LinkedIn, and B, I'm kind of active, or I try and stay active on WhatsApp groups. There are a ton of business networking groups, and groups based on all sort of things. There are many groups just for content writers. Couple of them are actually run by my friends. So yeah, I mean, just join WhatsApp groups, stay active. If not WhatsApp, the new in thing is Clubhouse. I mean, I don't know, market yourself there, see how it goes. But if you want a fail proof method, I would say just kick butt on LinkedIn. Try and post content at least 3 to 5 times a week. Try and write, read, speak content that your audience wants to interact with. Try different formats. LinkedIn has like polls, you have videos, you can do text, you can do so many things, you can do PDFs. Don't just limit yourself to text-based content. Explore the kinds of different content that you can publish, and just keep at it, stay consistent. Like Ankit said, the last C is consistency. So I mean, I have been on LinkedIn now for almost 3 4 years. Was when I started my journey, very close to hitting a lakh followers, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I mean, it's literally just come out of being consistent, posting whatever is on my mind for that day. um, and the beautiful thing is that on LinkedIn, nobody's going to come and tell you and be like, oh, I heard this before, because every single person will have a different viewpoint, a different sort of opinion about X thing. It could even just be as simple as, should you create your social media content calendar for 1 month at a go, or should you do it on a weekly basis? You have your own point of view and you put it across. And based on what you're specializing in, be it, if you want to just be a great website content writer, then just write about how to write better content on websites. Think about the questions that your target audience is going to be asking you, and based off that, just start answering them. So that's pretty much what I do. I mean, sometimes I
Lovely.
get comments in my posted stuff saying, oh, I don't know this, can you explain? So that's how that video that I did 2 days ago came out. I just kind of think about like, what can my audience be asking for, and just start writing and write from your heart. I mean, honestly, LinkedIn is not a perfectionist platform. Like, I have made grammatical errors on LinkedIn, I have made silly mistakes, and it's okay. Nobody is going to come and tell you that like, oh, you spelled this wrong. Instead, they'll read the post and they'll be nice and they'll comment back. So put yourself out there and start marketing yourself. Make sure your header is extremely crisp and says what you do. Make sure your summary has all the keywords in your experience, write whatever you've done. Put in photos and stuff. I've also done that. It's pretty cool. Fill up your LinkedIn profile as much as possible, because the only reason I say this is because when someone comes to your LinkedIn, you don't want them coming back and asking you 10 obvious questions. You should have answered all of those on your LinkedIn, and they should reach out to you at a point where they're like, okay, I think this is the best person for me. Let me reach out and start a conversation. So over time, I've also iterated on my LinkedIn multiple times. And, today where I am, all the kind of DMs that I get in are all like, hey, Vanchika, we're looking for a branding specialist for our startup. Would you like to chat? Or, hey, Vanchika, we're building our website. We need someone to consult on the UI and the content.
Excellent.
So I think if you get your LinkedIn up to that point, you've answered all the basic questions, then I think your conversations are going to be of higher quality, your leads are going to be of higher quality, and because of that, your close rate is going to be higher. So that's the formula to follow. If there is a formula, that is what it is.
That's absolutely fantastic. Cannot thank you enough, Vanchika, for sharing all these jewels, all these pearls of wisdom. In fact, if I can have my colleague Pushkar bring up your QR code again. A lot of you are asking how to make your profile the best, etc. Let me just take this comment out. All you have to do right now is scan the QR code so you can follow Vanchika. It will take you to her profile, and literally just study the profile of amazing power users of LinkedIn, such as Vanchika. Just see whatever she has done, the kind of bio she's written, and that will help you market your skills in the best possible manner as well. Vanshika, can't thank you enough for sharing all of this. I know this is just the first of many more conversations we're going to have
Yes.
on content creation.
Yes, I'm really excited. Thank you so much for having me. It was a complete an honor. It was just amazing.
Yay! Thank you. Awesome. If Dipti is back on,
Yes.
it's time for our third guest. Dipti,
Yeah,
did you find that
absolutely.
interesting? Are you
That
also
was
thinking
super
you want to sit
impressive.
at Bali or Jaipur and you want to make content
I wish
creation?
I could do that. This was actually super impressive. And I think what stood out for me was the point she said that creativity has no end and there's really no price. All you need to do is create your own unique brand. That's, I think, it's the biggest takeaway from the interesting insights that she shared. But I think just to add a point here, Ankit, on one hand, we've seen roles like content creators really pick up during the pandemic. On the other hand, I think there's also been one big cost that has come to personal healthcare or well-being that has come as a
Of
result of the
course.
perpetual mode of hustle that we all are in. And I'm sure most of us, the members who are joining us right now, they're all
Oh, yeah.
struggling to draw a line between their personal and their professional lives, and dealing with burnout. I mean, I know I have.
Me too. Me too. No, 100%. Zoom fatigue is real, backaches by sitting in front of a computer all day long. And obviously, not having the most ergonomic furniture at home, that is also
Absolutely.
one of the leading causes.
Yeah.
But above everything, Dipti, just the sheer stress and anxiety of being in the middle of a pandemic, keeping oneself safe, knowing that every choice you make matters, really, really matters. And so that has really bogged down the mental well-being of a lot of people. And I think this is a perfect cue to bring in our third guest, Dr. Divya Kannan. And Dr. Divya is here. Yes, awesome. Hi, Dr. Divya.
Hi, 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 Ankit. Hi, Dipti.
Hi,
Thank you
Dr.
for
Divya.
having me here today.
Absolutely. How
Well, I
are
mean,
you?
you sound calming already, so I'm going to let Dipti do some of the questions and then I'll pop back in.
Sure, sounds good.
Great. Divya, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you. Just to kick off, the question, like we were just talking about how this whole year 2020 has brought forth so much of anxiety and stress, and all of us are working from home, and there are challenges, of course, to that. In terms of engagement on your platform, in terms of discussions around mental health well-being, what kind of changes have you noticed, both in qualitative and quantitative terms, if you were to compare 2020 with respect to the pre-COVID era?
Yeah, I kind of call this past year sort of the year of reckoning for mental health, because I think that, post the lockdown, I think everyone in some way had to sort of kind of face their own mind and face themselves. We didn't have the busy distraction that we used to have, I think, pre-COVID. And we all had this change kind of just thrust upon us, and the stress of that, right? And dealing with that, worrying about the stress of your loved ones in terms of their health, your own health, your safety. So I think not just with India or Cure.fit, but globally we saw a huge increase in anxiety, worry, and people feeling more fearful, and sometimes in a very adaptive way, right? Because that's kind of what one of the effects of the pandemic was, that you need to kind of take care of yourself and your loved ones. So I think we definitely saw a huge increase in the recognition that mental health is something that we have to sort of actively now participate in, and we have to kind of do certain things to maintain our mental health, right? To have good mental health, whether that is meditation, or whether that's starting to see a professional counselor, or exercise, your nutrition, building your immunity. So many of these things suddenly became very significant, I think, post-COVID.
Right, absolutely. So if talking about the kind of jobs that are being created in this space, do you think first of all, being prompted by the openness to and the willingness to to address this factor of mental health well-being, which has probably been accentuated because of the lockdown, are there certain kind of roles or jobs that you're seeing that are more in demand right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly we're seeing a lot of startups enter the mental health space now. They're looking at more unique products that they can build around mental health. So, like even 5 years ago, I can't think of an app where I could go online, download an app, and figure out how do I manage my anxiety, how do I manage my anxious thoughts. But I can do that today. And so I think there's a lot of innovative roles for therapists, counselors, coaches, psychologists that are coming up now and will only continue to grow, because I think one thing that happened is that when we pretty much the world went even more digital uh, post the pandemic, so the reach and access that we had to mental health professionals, to people who wanted to seek services but maybe not necessarily go to a center, it really increased, right? So I think primarily having psychologists and therapists as subject matter experts, whether it's within a startup, whether it's within a corporate setting, we see a lot of demand for that now. And also we see a lot of demand for healthcare practice. We have at least 200 million people in India who have mental health needs, but we have a very low supply of people to service that. So I think we're really going to see a boom in the next year on that front.
Right, of course. Just quickly, Divya, are there certain demographics or certain cohorts that you're seeing being more open to this concept of mental health well-being, which has been prompted as a result of the pandemic, and specifically, which areas really you're seeing this increase in?
Frankly, I think we're seeing a lot of, across ages, across gender, we're seeing a lot of people become more open to the idea of taking care of mental health, whether it's therapy, meditation, yoga, whatever form that might be. Because I think one of the reasons is that what COVID has done is that you feel like you're united with everyone in your struggle. And when you feel that way, it's no longer like a taboo as much as it was before. It feels more acceptable just to even tell your colleague or your friend that I'm feeling stressed today, or I'm feeling low today. I've heard a lot more of that even among people in my own circles, which I didn't hear before. So I think there isn't a specific demographic, I would say, that's more stressed, but more so that people are stressed in different ways, right? So maybe some of the younger professionals are worried about job security, financial stress. We saw a lot of older adults feel more lonely and low because maybe their support systems couldn't be there, physically with them. So I think it kind of has impacted different groups in different ways.
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, like you said, across cohorts and financial concerns as well as anxiety levels. Ankit, do you have a question here?
Yes, absolutely. I've been dying to ask Divya this. For the longest time, unfortunately, especially peculiar to our society, is this stereotype of "mard ko dard nahi hota." And men don't really, especially in professional settings, etc. It is not okay, or so has been the perception or stereotype, that it is not okay for men to express that they are either incapable of dealing with a stressful situation or just feeling stressed out or anxious. So do you think that has finally changed because of the pandemic, and men are being vocal about it and are actually being proactive, seeking help, seeking therapy?
So, I mean, I think the general trend that I've seen is maybe about a 40-60 split between men and women now in terms of seeking services, which is actually quite great. I think, you're very right in saying that the role of masculinity, particularly in India's cultural context, right? What does that mean if you're seeking mental health help, or if you even admit that you're struggling with something as simple as that, right? Then it is a weakness, and that stigma definitely does exist. But I think, people feel, like I mentioned earlier, a little less alone in their journey. So they're able to kind of feel like, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. In fact, now there are probably people in my family who pre-COVID said this is, not something that, our family does, for example. When they have felt the effect of that stress themselves, and, the son has said, oh, okay, even my father or my mother can feel this way, and now maybe it's more acceptable to get help. I think we're certainly seeing that start to kind of seep in, but I do think also we have a little more ways to go with that.
Okay, good to hear that. I have a question from Chris Maganti, which is also a question that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Do you think work from home, all things considered, has been more stressful than working from office?
Yeah, I think there's sometimes an even split. A lot of folks have loved work from home because you don't have to travel and you don't deal with traffic and all of that. They have more flexibility when you work from home. But I also think it's really tough for a lot of homes because just as an example, if you have three working people at home, you need three working spaces as well. And I think that can be really hard to find that thinking time, that focus time at home. So you have to sort of figure out how you can separate, have that separate space and have your personal relaxed space at home. And I think that, even personally for me, that's been one of the bigger challenges. So I think it can be stressful to not have that separation of I go to place X to work, and when I'm at home, I do different things. But being able to create that physical separation at home, if possible, can kind of help bridge that gap a little bit. Not to mention that I think a lot of us felt very isolated in the beginning, right? Suddenly, if we worked with teams, like I did, we suddenly didn't see our team members.
True.
And that was a huge social impact. I couldn't go for chai like I normally would at 3 o'clock, and all of those things do have an impact on stress and your mental health. So yeah, I think there are challenges.
Okay, Sharbari's question is also our last question to you, Divya, which is pretty much everyone's questions. What are the little things one can do through the workday to de-stress while working from home? If any tips that you can share?
Sure. I think there are 2-3 things that I found really useful, right? I think someone had mentioned, I think maybe it was you, Ankita, sitting in your chair all day, right? I think we don't realize how much physical tension we hold in our bodies and how that translates to our mental and emotional stress. So just being able to stretch, after meeting or after, midday, to just give your body sort of the oxygen and breathing space that it needs. I think one of the things that's really helped me is a practice of gratitude, right? Because it's very easy to feel grateful and to be thankful when everything's going well. And I think in this particular time, it helps me avoid this kind of scarcity mindset that, everything has to be a lot. I need to be able to do everything. I need to be able to have everything. And with the lockdown, we found that we couldn't do a lot of things that we normally did. So I would very consciously, if I was having a tough day, either before I go to sleep at night or during the workday, just sort of recount what are the small things that I'm grateful for, right? And when I did that, I found that my day generally had more energy to it and had more abundance to it. It could be as simple as, my yoga teacher teaching me some great stretches for my neck. And I just felt so thankful that I had that and I was able to receive that. I also, lastly, I'll just quickly say, I think mindfulness is a real boon. I think this year has really, gotten our minds to think so much in the future. And we organize our life now around pre-COVID and post-COVID and during, right? There are these phases that we imagine. So I think it's really important to develop the practice of mindfulness, even if it's for 5 minutes a day. Sometimes we have team meetings where we start with a very brief breathing and mindfulness practice, and it just kind of settles and calms the mind, and it gives you a little bit of energy and focus to go on to the next task. So those are the 3 things.
Fantastic. I'm taking away these couple of great suggestions: an attitude of gratitude, mindfulness, and stretch. Your body loves stretches. Absolutely. Thank you so much for making the time, Dr. Divya Kannan, therapy lead at Cure.fit. We're wishing you a healthy and a happy 2021 as well.
Thanks so much, Ankit and LinkedIn News. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. All right, Dipti, there's a lot of work cut out for us, from making our digital nomad plans from Bali and Jaipur to practicing mindfulness. This has been such a fun and insightful chat for me.
Yeah, totally. And I'm sure I'm going to implement a lot of these insights from Divya, practicing mindfulness and some basic stretches, exercises for a fitter every day. Totally, yes.
Absolutely. So, Top Emerging Jobs of 2021 is the report that we were having this discussion around. Please go to Dipti Jain's profile. In fact, the QR code that you see, if you just scan that, you can go to either of our profiles and you'll see the report over there. it in detail, basically lays out the most exciting sectors in terms of where the job demands are and what kind of skills you need to upgrade to in case you haven't already, keeping in demand with the jobs. Thanks so much for joining, Divya.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for the members who shared their wonderful questions. You can subscribe to the Get Hired India newsletter, where you get regular updates about the job market, about hiring, etc. Please keep sharing your questions, observations, topics you want to know about, and we'll try and answer them all. Meanwhile, stay safe and thank you for a wonderful session.